12 o'clock now, so I want to welcome everybody to the Risk Cognizance webinar. This is Risk Cognizance and Customers, Driving the Evolution of GRC with AI. I want to thank everybody for joining. I want to let you know this is the first webinar in a series that will be coming out. We hope you all will learn lots of good nuggets at this session and join us for future ones. I want to introduce Jeffrey Walker, the CEO of Risk Cognizance, and Tom Elias, our manager of sales. And take it away, Jeffrey.
Awesome, awesome. Definitely, I also want to point out here that you can definitely raise your hand or have the QA button. Go ahead and click on the QA if you have questions. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to answer those questions as we go through the deck here, and definitely let us know if some of these technologies will assist you at your organization in a day-to-day aspect as we go through this webinar.
It's a fantastic opportunity that customers and the industry will begin to better understand. That's not only robust, but it's modular. So if a customer is sitting back or an MSP is sitting back and saying, wow, maybe this doesn't apply to me. I only have 100 employees, or maybe this does apply to me. I'm very mature in my journey. Either way, Jeffrey and his team are able to present our solution, find the ROI, and allow the talented resources on the IT team and the customer to be better utilized on other projects, which is very, very exciting. So it's a thrill, and we'll certainly look forward to the next segment of minutes.
Definitely, thank you, Tom. Thank you for pointing that out. So definitely, this series is basically Risk Cognizance and customer driving the evolution of GRC with AI, and kind of like where organizations see benefits from AI, and overall, as Tom mentioned before, the capability of automating and improving return on investments per se. It's kind of like where we're driving this engagement. So what is artificial intelligence? So we hear this a lot today. Most individuals think ChatGPT, as you mentioned, artificial intelligence. But as we know, currently, it's a little bit more than that. Kind of not only large machine language model, but also the ability to understand speech, videos, recognition of automated vehicles, generation of conversation, AI agents, kind of like built into a platform, smart automation, advanced simulation built into a platform, and of course, some of those prediction when it comes around risk, and also enable technology and application from in-depth operation in regarding to integrate application to learn from each other to help identify risk across the way. And reinforcement learning has more data get added to the platform. And as you could see, it could be over multiple application. The continuous learning and capability of intelligence will be flowing across the way and have numerous use cases that could apply in whether you're in construction, whether you're doing video or graphics, whether you're trying to identify image, kind of like from a security standpoint. These are some of the capabilities that are currently built into multiple GRC or AI initiatives today. Any questions, definitely don't be afraid to ask in our Q&A. I'm going to continue on here to why is it important to think about AI? And basically it goes back to, once again, automation, cost, efficiency, and how you could reduce repetitive tasks overall. And the goal is to also reduce human error, especially around security and compliance, and speed up your lifetime to compliance, right? So what does reduction of some of these processes look like on a day-to-day aspect? Say, for instance, we work with organizations in the banking space, and where they want to comply with a specific framework in a short period of time. We can use their current framework and our AI capability and automation to remap and draw from currently what they have in place to score the new framework that they want to move to. Previously, organization or some organization are still doing this in some of the other platforms where they're taking a manual process to map this data, which could take anywhere from 1 to 2 months, and then also going back to score the data. So you can see where that it could definitely reduce cost, resource, time as well. And this is something we're doing within 5 minutes. So when you look at 5 minutes compared to a month or two to do the same process, in with the idea that individual would need to be able to one, take time to do this. Also, that they would also need the solution to actually get this done, and in some cases a different expertise to do the mapping of that data set, and then to go back and add each and every risk pertaining to that individual compliance. You could see where that makes sense for our tool set, or automating an efficiency.
Jeffrey, that reminds me of that customer in the fintech side of it with 100 customers, or 100 employees, excuse me, who they were needed to create that additional framework, and 2 or 3 of the IT professionals on the phone were saying, "Well, we're not going to make our deadline. We're nervous about it being a couple weeks ahead of time," because they were used to some of the older standards. And I think Jeffrey may have been showing off a little bit, but he also did it in a very professional way. He made the change in the 7 minutes of the conversation with the customer, and the customer said, "Oh, is that it, Jeff? Is that just a sample? Is that just an example?" And of course, it was fully executed. So their time, their resources, their experience, I think they're about a 10-year veteran in the industry, are be able to use and work on projects that are higher return on investment for themselves because of risk cognizance and our AI solution.
Definitely, Tom. Thank you for that. And that's where we dive into enable faster process and freeing up staff for strategic work, right? And that's really where most of the efficiency and the competitive advantage comes in for that customer, which they would have tied up staff, they would have maybe lost out on being able to do that compliance in that short time frame. So that improve their innovation, and also the competitive advantage to be able to go and kind of like get this done at a faster pace. But also that enhance their customer experience because they were looking to go to market as quick as possible with that compliance. So now the customer get to benefit from that compliance faster than they would have to wait and kind of use manual process to be able to fulfill. And by all of this, then that lead into growth, right, for the organization. Since as one, they're reducing the time that it takes, freeing up staff to focus more on strategy, and also improving their competitiveness against their competitor, and also providing a faster, more effective customer process for their customer. Overall, will drive the growth from that standpoint. I'll continue on here. So how does it scale from an AI perspective, and what are some of the use cases? As you can see here on our screen, kind of like we discussed in the last slide, customer and expectation, and meeting those customer expectation is a good thing to make sure that customer satisfaction is great. Staff augmentation, talking about staff and making sure they could focus on strategy instead of focus on manual tasks, which is where our tool set comes in and kind of make that happen on a day-to-day basis, which makes your organization move faster, more nimble, and be able to actually be proactive as well. So we don't only focus on just the staff or the customer, but we want to make sure that your supply chain is also effective, right? And that's where you'll dive in to see here prevention of failure again in your supply chain on a day-to-day basis, and monitoring that is something that we're utilizing AI to do today on a day-to-day basis, and to understand what that means, and also reduce consumption overall in and for both internally and against your supplier for things that you may need a supplier for versus not need a supplier for, based on doing the assessment, based on understanding the risk and how they also automate, and how we automate the process for you internally from a vendor management assessment standpoint. But this could lead to more deeper dive into kind of like energy efficiency, if you have an energy vendor and so forth, and how you're utilizing that vendor. You can also identify that through your supply chain assessment, and also if you have manufacturing as well, to get to understand your supply chain for manufacturing overall. People and organization, definitely improving employee conversation, improving employee collaboration inside different tool sets. That's something, say, for instance, in risk cognizance today, we actually have like calendar built into the GRC tool that supports AI, which also synchronize the risk and the audit risk in one place. So you can see that and see the timeline associated, which some of the requirements are populated by your AI based on the understanding of your risk per se inside of that. So what does that do? Make the employee experience a lot better from an overall aspect of understanding actionable items, because our AI engine is helping to create those actionable items, and also improve the ability to say, for instance, they want to generate a report, or they want to generate a policy, or just a document to send to employees. Our tool set can help to do that using conversation per se in our document management or a policy builder.
Jeffrey, on that one, that very aggressive MSP that you and I are very close to, one of his top technical team would spend 4 weeks on different processes. And not only with the organizational from the IT calendar that you just made reference to, but the intuitive nature of the risk cognizance solution, it was cut down to 4 hours. And I made reference to, does that mean that individual gets more time off? And the leader at that MSP said, well, it's actually the owner's family member. So of course they're going to continue to be working really hard because it's all family. Okay. But you talk about increasing the spirit and increasing the energy, the optimism to what the future can be when people's time is best utilized with the risk cognizance solution driven by AI. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. That is great, actually. I'm happy that you point that out. In diving into IT and kind of identifying risk, that's something that we're using AI in that aspect as well, within our overall approach, utilizing our attack surface capability, utilizing our vendor management capability and our cloud scanning capability to proactively identify risk. And we'll talk a little bit more of this as we continue along the lines, but detections get up to 84% faster compared to other systems that are manual. We also sync these risks directly into your compliance program or to a ticket management solution. So that make things a little bit easier in a day-to-day aspect, right? Self-healing application, the ability to identify these events. You can then also create rules to kind of make sure that the application self-heal. So say, for instance, you have a process when DNS, domain name, or out of sync, or a certificate is expiring, or attack surface detect that, then you have an approach to kind of take that information and then create a healing process that reduces the possibility of breach. Which breach today costs an average of anywhere from $300,000 to in the billions, depends on the size of your organization, in the millions, depends on the size of your organization on a day-to-day aspect. There, based on the last report, there's one breach happen every 24 hours, and these are considered major breach. Most breaches are not actually reported, especially when they're smaller organization that are less nimble and less likely to report their risk, right? And then we want to dive into kind of like risk and compliance, right? And that goes back to be able to be predictable, right? And identifying risk as soon as possible in regards to your overall risk and compliance process. And really, that's where we really dive deep into automating most of the aspect from policy syncing, policy linking, risk syncing, the ability to identify remediation effort and remediation strategy and populate that from an actionable standpoint so your team can take action utilizing AI from that perspective. And what that does for you as an organization is your ability to also detect fraudulent activity faster and identify risk faster in regarding to keep your organization sound. Um, uh, anything that any question there, Tom?
Well, in
got
any
some point
IT
of view?
director, any of the many CISOs that you know through your great career in healthcare as well as fintech, you have their employees being worn out. You have employees being fatigued from hours, from frustration, and so you give them a tool that in their hand, not just a sales presentation, but delivering a high energy effectiveness. They can see that effectiveness right in front of them. That increases the morale as well, not just the straight hours, that the CFO, of course, is identifying, but that individual employee, the esprit de corps is now built in. They know that they're working for a cause. There's a reason why they start their day at 6 a.m. And go from there. So that's very, very exciting that we're giving those CISOs and those financial departments. Thank you.
Definitely have a customized customized process to risk approach, which is built into our solution, and also both banks and small and large entity love the approach of being able to customize risk.
Jeffrey, yeah, Joe, real quick, it looks like we got a question. We encourage people to ask questions, so we do due diligence to respond when they ping and put their hand up. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Jeffrey, we got a question from one of the participants asking if RC supports GRC solutions and frameworks south of the border, specifically in Central and South America.
So definitely. So we are able to deploy anywhere AWS or Google is at the moment. We do provide cloud only solution, not on-prem. So if we can facilitate it on our Google platform, we will, and Google is located in the region, yes. Currently in those cases that you mentioned, you'd be a yes.
Yeah, that's and not only in that geography, but well, certainly other parts of the world. Jeffrey and I were just on calls most recently at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and myself and another colleague are being supported by Jeffrey's team with frameworks that are specific for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So that's very exciting to have SAMA and others done in advance of those presentations and conversations. So yes, not only in the Caribbean, South America, and Central America, and as part of the sales side, we'll certainly jump on that right away as our teams will certainly be very engaging. Thank you for that question.
Definitely.
Got another one. I've got another one here for you, Jeffrey. Would the AI element replace the need for extra headcount, for example, vulnerability analysts when becoming DORA compliant in the EU?
So definitely we are growing towards that to kind of currently what we do is enable team to be more effective, not really replacing per se, but to be more effective on a day-to-day aspect. But as the tool progress, we could see where this in the future will be something that will can replace some of your team. You'll still need expert to kind of review data and make sure that all data is specific to the organization, the organization risk appetite per se. So say for instance, today, if you utilize our attack surface, it could do your vulnerability scan and provide you with everything you need to action. So with that in mind, a year or two ago, you'd need to go out and hire an external vulnerability tester to test your external surfaces. Today, we can do that and also pull data from the dark web and provide you that data within a short period of time, and that you don't have to hire a resource. So if you look at the cadence that you'd have to go hire an individual, 2, you'd have to pay them a large amount of money. And then 3, you'd have to wait for them to do that testing and hope that they do it correctly, and then provide you a great report. All of that can be done in our system within anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, right? So that saves you a lot of time, a lot of I would say financial savings as well, and also the turnaround time from an effective standpoint to identify your vulnerability could maybe also possibly remediate a breach or a pending breach, right? Because you will identify these vulnerability faster, where if you hire someone, they maybe take a month or two to then action the testing. Depends on the organization workload.
That's a great question. Jeffrey will certainly pass that information on to our colleague in UK, who's not only on top of automobile industry in different countries in Europe, but also the UK item you just highlighted. So our colleague will certainly take care of that. Thank you.
I've got one follow-up question coming in on that, Jeffrey. Can you say what percentage of time is saved using AI with the GRC platform over manual completion? For example, DORA in the EU.
Definitely, we'll dive into that a little bit more because we have those comparison and more information on what we call the return on investment impact. So once we get there, we'll cover that a bit more in depth and answer that question a little bit more in depth.
Great,
All right.
Great questions. Thank you.
Great question. Definitely for new, as we continue to build and develop our AI engine, we're constantly adding new products and new ways of looking and providing insight to our customer and making sure that we continue to maintain not only current business, but new business and new business ideas and models inside our platform system. And so today we're 60% continuously, 60 to 80%, 60 to 68% of continuous new business and new services that we're pushing into our platform to kind of support organization on a day-to-day aspect. From a product standpoint, today we are focused on really developing our AI to be more predictive and the ability to actually answer questions, say for instance, questionnaires that you may get from your vendor. In the next couple of months, our AI will be able to answer kind of vendor due diligence for you instead of you have to do this. Our understanding is that these vendor due diligence take away 2 to 3 hours of customer time. So if we can answer 20, then you could do the math. If our system is able to do that for you in a short period of time, these are some of the automated process that we'll discuss from an ROI perspective in the future slides.
Very exciting future.
Definitely. So adoption, definitely risk objective, risk appetite, understanding your governance strategy, built-in communication. We talk about project management. We talk about risk manager. We talk about compliance management at the beginning. So these are things that will tie that together. And then using AI framework model, kind of like we talked about earlier, using it to identify risk, understanding risk, and using the model to create more effective approach, deliver effective policies by using our AI engine to help you write those, and overall doing some validation, like in our vendor management, we don't only send out the questionnaires, but we are going out, our tool set is validating the vendor, and if the vendor fall below that compliance score, we actually sending out another questionnaire to make sure that the vendor understand that they fall below that compliance score, and so they can adjust those compliance, right? Definitely utilizing multiple algorithm classes to kind of understanding those aspects, working with our customer based on proof of concept, what they want to do to create value, to ensure that we are not only investing in solution that we think is wonderful, but also that there's a value in the investment for our clients inside the application. What we have identified from a use case and POV process is that basically in most of the cases when we build something for one customer, you also benefit other customer because they may be looking for the same solution. So we are always open to add more solution to our arsenal and also to our roadmap.
Now what some of the listeners need to understand is certainly having products and features is an exciting path and a journey for a development rich company like Risk Cognizance. But when you can add the word patent next to the solution, that is incredible to be able to have an opportunity to have that attack surface, which certainly is very, very exciting on the cybersecurity front, because that you're taking the approach, you're taking the aggressive approach, you're attacking, you're counterattacking, if you will, and we're doing it on the vendor management, and no one else does that. So that's an exciting tool, and that's where so much of the vulnerability comes from. Small customers, people going after Department of Defense contracts. They need those solutions, and Risk Cognizance has got that in their hands with a leading solution and very modular and very robust pricing. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Definitely. And to dive into that a bit more, or to kind of extend on what Tom mentioned, is that we're not only just looking at things from a compliance perspective as you look through the data ecosystem. We're looking at it from a data privacy. So you have to deal with data privacy law. Our cloud scanning focus on cloud assessment, right? Making sure that all data is in the swim lane. But also, if you have assets or other data in other application, we do support Open API to bring all that data together. And then what we're doing, if you look at techniques and tool, is bringing all of this together through algorithm to create that overall one place where all your data live, and basically be able to provide actionable items directly from them through orchestration. So those are some of the capability that is built into our tool today, and also the ability to kind of manage the build things that you create from a version standpoint, create pipeline throughout the entire process, and also integration pipeline between IT processes and so forth can be done using our Open API environment. And definitely, if there's additional development that need, we can definitely put that also on our roadmap as well. So it's a continuous process of those activities.
Yeah, that's such great vision. I was with an MSP from Texas, and of course, everything in Texas, of course, Jeffrey, has to be bigger, has to be faster. And that's the exact question he asked me. He said, how about the guys who've been around in this industry for a long time? And how you stacking up to that? And boy, when you put up that battle card of how we stack up, not only under traditional 6 or 7 main items that are the mainstays, but the AI-driven solutions, allowing them to be ahead of the game, allowing them to be ahead of the vendor management with the attack surface, allowing the crosswalking to happen. It's a very, very exciting path. He said, "Why are you guys having this innovation and some of the bigger guys are not?" And I said, "Well, it's vision, and on the second call, you get to talk to Jeffrey," is what I told him. Okay, because that's what's driven it. To be able to allow us to be able to take that position, deliver those solutions to large, medium, small customers, to be able to allow them to be gain the fruits of what are out there, and the opportunities to be there.
Definitely. And definitely that's where you dive into kind of like standard, no matter if you have big data risk or small data risk, we're there to kind of help you through the entire process with an overall module from a risk management perspective, enabling your risk management processes, right?
Absolutely.
So definitely, the idea from at least for most organizations is to ensure a well-balanced governance while enabling overall efficiency and ethical aspiration for the organization. And really, that's what we built into our tool. Instead of just focusing on compliance, we kind of also want to streamline your operation, build an operation model, building a way to manage and optimize resource with our project management tool. So all of these are in line with that in our tool. Be able to prioritize stuff both from risk task and also from your audit task and so forth through the entire life cycle of your managing your goals or your compliance within our tool set. And then creating ethical governance framework. You definitely can use standard framework within our system. They're built in our system. Today we have over 50 compliance framework, but our tool is so adaptable. You can build your own, whether you're taking from other framework to build your own, or starting from scratch to build your own ethical program within inside your organization. making that a very actionable and accountable, even from a business unit perspective, to make sure that you can drive towards success, right? And those are some of the key things that we understand that make an impact on all processes throughout, whether it's a organization operation or organization governance and risk management, or just compliance overall. So what makes us different? And this is really
Here we go. Here we go. That's our friend.
awesome. Mr. Robot, right? RoboCop here.
That's right, baby.
Yeah. So basically, this is where we stand in a sense from a really supporting an organization, is to provide real insight and oversight in regard to risk and proactive risk management. So what we understand why we mostly focus on proactive risk management is that most organizations that most only focus on compliance, they are more likely to be breached than an organization that focus on compliance and proactive risk management. And we want to reduce the cost to organization from a breach perspective while they're doing compliance. So we have our tool supporting both. So as you can see here, current state is of compliance is one of the most critical, because then you want to make sure that you can enforce and remediate problems as quickly as possible through your ecosystem. But you have to discover them, right, and be notified of them to make sure that this process is actionable, right, and your team can take action before a threat actor can do so, or before you're out of compliance and you're fined for not being in compliance. This is where we really shine, is to make sure that you're buttoned up at every place to reduce additional costs. So you could be compliant today, and your team make one simple change tomorrow, and you're out of compliance. Let's say they change something on your firewall that breach your PCI compliance or your CMMC compliance. You wouldn't know about it. With our tool set, we'll discover, we'll notify you accordingly, so you can take the actionable item to get that remediated instead of being fined or instead of being breached. So that's really where we stand in regards to the day-to-day aspect. And then also the ability to be scalable is to also in regards to our ability to integrate with application, with over 250 applications already integrated, and also our support for governance system today and critical system and internal application that is built into the system. But on top of that, we have an open API that can support additional initiatives. Here goes a short list of our framework. We have over, like mentioned before, we have over 50 of these on a given day. But we're always open to adding more. So if you have some kind of compliance that doesn't fit within this within the 50 that we have today, we're open to customize. I'm going to go to the next slide, and I'm going to leave that open so you guys can ask any questions, since we're on the top of the we almost wrap up the 30 minutes. We completely wrap up the 30. So I'm going to leave this here, and then I'm going to go to the ROI for a quick insight into our tool set. So basically, you have the risk management, the risk compliance monitoring, the audit manager, the project management, the ticket management, our automated AI. All of these capabilities, you'll see that there's AI in almost every aspect of these tool set, as you could see here, right? And then someone had asked about the impact from an ROI perspective. Want to touch on that as well, to kind of point out how that benefits your organization. So I remember someone asked about efficiency against manual tasks. Definitely, that would be 80% here, but overall increasing operation by 86%, right? You could see reduction in time to compliance as well, reduction in expense, and reduction in audit efforts, and a reduction in training. Sorry about that. Go back here for a bit. And also overall saving on staff, not replacing staff, but saving on staff per se, right? And enhancing client satisfaction. Any questions around this?
And those are numbers that many CISO and CIO professionals will say, give me a screenshot of that, Jeffrey, because I got to take that right to my board. my CEO understands those numbers. And of course they do, because they see the value of it. And every company needs that increased productivity, that increased utilization of processes. It's in their hands. So that's very, very exciting to be able to allow them to see that step. Incidentally, on the slide right before, just as Jeffrey highlighted, there's a tremendous amount of leading companies in different industries. Many of them lean forward with solutions that are still being in development, still coming down the road pipe. Every one of those that Jeffrey and his developmental team have not only put out, we've gone through testing, and they're in marketplace. So each of those solutions that he outlined are solutions that are helping customers today on all continents.
Definitely. And this is how we stack up against some of the top competitors out there. This is how we stack up today. This is why we are taking clients on a day-to-day aspect from competitors. This is how we and kind of like Tom mentioned earlier, our battle card. Definitely, if you have more questions, go ahead and let us know as we wrap up this call.
Jeffrey, got one more question here.
It is exciting. He does have one. He does have that hand up. So go ahead, Jeffrey. Appreciate you being there, Frederick.
You mentioned you're using AI to sync risks. How long does this take for the system to do that? Is the AI element instant?
So definitely, what we're doing is sync risk based on the client schedule. So it is a schedule element. As risk are identified in the system, if it's continuously syncing, risk are sync as soon as the risk is available and it's pinged from their solution to our system. If it's one of our system, like today, attack surface on Cloud Scanner, as soon as the scan is completed, it is syncing the risk across the application, both to tickets if needed, and to the program itself, and also to the centralized risk manager.
Exciting. Very exciting.
Awesome.
Jeffrey, I know how busy you and your developmental team can be, and for you to allocate this amount of time, I do appreciate it. To everyone listening and this webinar being forwarded to them, this is one of a series of webinars that will be produced. We've tried to encourage Jeffrey to do it weekly. It won't be weekly, but it'll be on a pretty regular cadence, because there's new information to share. There's new excitement to share. And when you're in the data business and you're delivering leading edge solutions, you want that message to be loud and clear. Appreciate everyone's time.
All right, thank you, everybody. Just want to let everybody know this recording of this webinar will be available on our website. If you have any questions, please go to www.riskcognizance.com and contact us immediately. We'll get right back to you. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.